seated. We turn now to a time of family remembering. I'm going to invite, first of all, Jack's brother, Talstra, who will immediately be followed by Jack and Hilda's daughters, Amanda and Nathania.
Jacob Talstra. He was born on March the 10th, 1946, in Friesland, the northern province of Holland, in a village by the dike called Peases. When he was born, he had a 12-year-old sister, Alice, and a 7-year-old brother, Ep. And that completed our family of 3 children. I remember the day he was born at home, and a midwife told me, "You have a baby brother." When Jack was 3 years old, the family immigrated to Houston, BC, where our dad had a sister who had arrived in Houston with her family in 1939 and lived on a homestead just out of town. I believe we immigrated because our parents wanted a better life and a future for their children after post-war Holland. And Dad really wanted his own little potato farm. Well, we arrived in Houston on July the 2nd, 1949, and little Jack was 3 years old. On July the 4th, 2 days later, Dad passed a potato field in Houston which had frozen off the night before. Well, he was not impressed. In 1951, the family moved to Talstra, BC. Jack was then 5 years old. Well, things freeze in Talstra as well in the summertime. In 1953, we moved to Terrace. Terrace. Much better climate. You can grow beans and potatoes. Jack was now 7 years old, and he had to attend Riverside School. In 1955, Dad bought 10 acres of land on Calum Street, which included this present church site. Jack was now 9 years old. Excuse me. I left school at age 15 to work and help Dad on the farm. And Jack continued his schooling. Well, Jack and I, we had a great relationship in his teen years. We never fought. Why would I want to beat up my junior little brother and I was 7 years older? My only disagreement that I can recall, and we had that a lot, was that I took up too much space on the double bed that we shared together. But you know, we had an older sister who could always invoke our older sister to kind of sort things out for us. I know Jack had a lot of characteristics of my dad, who always stayed calm, never really got too excited unless it was really, really important. An old friend of Dad's described it this way to me once. He told me if we were playing chess together in the living room and all of a sudden the kitchen burst on fire, your dad would probably say, "You know, we should move over a little bit. It's getting warm here." And that sounds a bit like Jack, doesn't it? Sometimes Dad would look at Mom and point to Jack and say, "You just wait," he says, "you just wait. Someday he will be Prime Minister of Canada." Well, Jack graduated from Skeena High and went off to a Christian college in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Dad, at age 58, passed away the year that Jack went to college, 1965. Jack was now 19 years old. Well, Dad, he never became Prime Minister of Canada. But in a sort of way, he became Prime Minister at Terrace for a while. Faith was a very important part in our family and in Jack's life. To love God and love your neighbor as yourself was something that Jack strove for every day. Last week, while I was visiting with Jack at the hospital, he told me how the city had honored him with a gold key to the city and all the recognition that he had received. I told him, Jack, you did a great job with the life you were given. And I also reminded him, soon it will be Christmas. And when Jesus was born, Jack, I said, he became the key to an even greater city. Yes, he said, I'll try that key on the door. Jack, I said, you might find that that door is already open. And that God's waiting for you there to let you in, to enjoy that city. What do you think, Jack? Will he let you in? Jack looked around, he said, you know, when he could wink his eye like that, I'm sure he will, he said. So here we leave Jack with God in a new vocation, in a whole new city, where there might be no more need for lawyers. Thank you.
Our dad only ate breakfast on Sundays. Hard-boiled eggs on rusks. He would unwind in the evenings with a hockey game or maybe a game of rummy cub and a cup of tea. When we were small, he would tell us corny jokes, ask us which tie he should wear to whichever coming event was going on that week or day or whatever. He took us to Dairy Queen, gave us horsey-back rides. On hot summer days, bought us KFC and took us out to the lake to eat it. He told us to hold on to your hats, because he knew that big bump was coming. He drove us up mountains, and every summer, he piled us all into the van for road camping trips. He paid for many sports, music lessons, 4-H, and our Christian education. He kept peppermints in his suit jacket on Sunday mornings. And if you were lucky enough to sit beside him, sometimes you got to sneak another one. He read us Bible stories, which always include follow-up questions, just to make sure we are paying attention. He modeled for us generosity, steadfast faith, and a strong work ethic, calm demeanor, and a quiet love. Yet, I think he yelled the craziest Happy New Year every year. And he could also belt out a pretty good Deo.
That being said, we're also thankful that our dad was always there. He demonstrated thoughtfulness before decision-making. He supported us through our good decisions and supported us after our bad decisions. He always demonstrated love for Mom, for his children, for his church, his career, and his community. We're thankful that he always set the example that hard work and focus will pay off. He never yelled when he was angry. He was able to give us guidance in a positive and gentle manner, but still loving us if we decided not to follow it. Could always see that it was the inside of a person that counted and not the outside. He never gave up on his dreams, goals, or ambitions until every angle or corner was explored, even then, looking a little bit deeper. He always stood up for what was right, even if that meant standing alone. We're thankful that our dad was positive in all situations, even in the darkest times.
Growing up, we always kind of wondered what our dad's hobbies were. As a young kid, when we thought about it, we never really quite figured it out. What was his real passion? What did he do for fun? Because really, as kids, life's all about fun. But it took more until we grew up and had families of our own that we finally figured it out. Dad's hobby was family. As Dad started to become sick, it became more apparent and it was emphasized more that his favorite times, the best times, the most cherished times, were the times hanging out with us. He always wanted us to be together, to stay together, to stick together in all the roads leading ahead. It didn't matter if there was differences between our somewhat rather large family, but rather for us to know that there was always family to have your back. And through the thick and thin, that we all love each other, no matter what. We all appreciate the time that Dad got to spend with us as a family, and as our families grew, the time he got to have with his 9 grandchildren, and the time he spent to getting to know each and every one of them. But as you all are aware, my dad had many different hats. But the hat that our dad wore the most often, when he wore a hat, it was a trucker hat. You know, the kind of hat where it's like mesh on the back and big, bulky, boxy front with a brim. Back has the plastic little snaps on it. Some slogan on the front, maybe from his friend's garage, or the infamous CCS auctioneers, the Talstra brothers. It was one of these hats that he would often wear on hot summer days, mowing the lawn or on family road trips, easing the sun from his quickly receding hairline, stopping from that sunburn that usually happened every summer. But my dad didn't wear this hat tight to his head or low down in the brim. It always sat just enough on top that the wind could blow through the mesh to cool his head off, but not so much that the hat would blow away. This was our dad, our home dad, not the lawyer dad, not the city official dad, our dad. When our dad had his dad hat on, he was 100% dad, 100% focus on us. And the experience, as he wanted to share with us, was to the fullest. When we went skating with Dad, we didn't just go to the 1-hour skate or the free skate and pack up and go home. We went there and we had the hot chocolate and the popcorn and the hot dogs, and we experienced the concession, and usually we got to hang out and watch the Zambonis finish clearing the ice. It was the full experience. And as we reflected a little bit more, as us siblings gathering around the last few days, certain stories came up.